Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Joshua Siliruka here, your host of the Impact Podcast Show. Now, before I introduce our next special guest on the Impact Podcast Show, I'd like to state two things. The first thing I would like to do is I'd like to say thank you. I want to say thank you to those that are listening to this episode either through Spotify or Apple Podcasts. But I also would like to say thank you to those who are watching this podcast through our YouTube channel. Now, make sure you guys like this video if you are receiving any value, or if you're actually really enjoying the podcast. Smash that like button. Also, comment your thoughts. We'd love to hear how this podcast episode has impacted you, and so we'd love to hear where you guys are at. So make sure you guys comment your thoughts, and most importantly, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click on that bell button for the latest updates to our next video. So that's the first thing that I would love to share before we introduce our next special guest. And the second thing I'd love to say is I'd love to state our mission, and our mission is simple. Our mission is to focus on impacting the one. And so if you are being impacted by this podcast, whether it's through this the special guest sharing their story or adding tons of value, I encourage you to share this to someone else that can benefit from this. Because remember, it only takes one person to change someone's life, and that could possibly be you, and that will be cool. Now, guys, enough of that. I'm going to be getting straight into the podcast now. Our next special guest right here, right now, firstly, I need to give him a massive praise because if you guys are aware, this is, I think, the 38th episode on the Impact Podcast Show. And our previous episode, we had Sophia Noble, and the man on the other side of this call, he was the one that actually organized the meeting to be in place. And so I had a great conversation with her, but the one thing that I acknowledged at the start before we started off was this man here, because he's the one that actually organized it. Now, I want to share just a bit about the reason why, or I'll just share a bit of background story as to how we got connected. Now, my man over here, he actually reached out to me a couple months ago. Now, apparently, I have no clue as to how this had happened, but I didn't get his message, right? I didn't get the message at all. It went through some sort of message request, and I only had seen it probably like a month ago. And so I ended up reaching back out to him, and we ended up getting into a Zoom call, just had a really great chat. And then he was the one that organized the meeting with Sophia. But the one thing I learned about this man is that this guy is just keen to help people, right? This guy is so keen to help other people. He's utilizing his skill set in marketing and, anything that's got to do with like content creating and certain things like that to actually make an impact. And so that was one thing that I got out of the podcast, the podcast session that we had, or the conversation that we had through Zoom. And so what I wanted to do is return the favor by getting him to jump onto the Impact Podcast Show. And so, guys, I would love you all, if you guys are listening or if you guys are tuning into our YouTube channel, to please welcome to the Impact Podcast Show family, Logan Brown. Thanks, bro, for coming on.
Thanks, brother. Thanks for inviting me, man. It's good to be here.
Yeah, I know, man. But bro, I just want to say, man, thank you so much for taking out your time. I know that you are another person that actually does listen to our podcast. So I guess it's different, man. I guess it's different knowing that you're on the other side.
Yeah, it is. It is a bit different, but it's cool, bro. Like, I like it. I like how everything is kind of, lined up. And then you messaged me the other day. It was super unexpected. I was not expecting that, but I was like, hell yeah, like, let's roll with it.
Yeah. No, it's so funny, man, because what ended up happening was I was just thinking during the week, I was like, man, I really want to get this guy on, just simply because I know the work that you do, like there's a lot of behind the scenes work, right? There's a lot of behind the scenes work, and there's not really much exposure for yourself. But I'm not saying for people like yourself, doing marketing or content creating, that you need the spotlight. But it would be cool, it'd be cool to see the behind the scenes lens. And so that's when I was like, bro, I want to get this guy on to hear his story and say things like that, because I know there's a lot of people out there that are probably in the same or similar position as you.
Yeah, and that's what I like about you, bro. Like, you're always thinking like there's more going on to what we're seeing, and you always try to dive deeper. So that's why I was like, yeah, man, let's talk about this. I'm keen.
Yeah, no, legit, man. But yeah, bro, let's get straight into it. I guess the first question I'd love to ask for you, man, is that we do have the Impact family and community that does listen to our podcast, and they may not know you, bro, but I know that there are people out there that are from your following and from your fan base or from your family too that maybe listening through this podcast. And so, bro, is there any chance that you could possibly share just a bit about who you are?
Just a little bit about me, bro. So I'm a Samoan Māori.
Yo,
grew up in Central Auckland. Now living on the Gold Coast. I got 2 kids, married, and I'm a digital marketer for Victoria's Health and Fitness. And it has been like a bit of a journey to get me to where I am now. I used to call myself an entrepreneur. Now I think I just call myself an entrepreneur because, I just found that I don't like to do everything, but we'll probably dive into that.
Yeah, bro, I love that. I love that concept, bro. I love that concept when you said entrepreneur to entrepreneur.
Yep.
I'm keen, bro. I'm keen to explore that later on. But yeah, man, I'm gonna say, bro, as I said before, man, thank you so much for taking out your time. I know that time is valuable, and I'm so grateful, bro, that we're gonna kickstart the conversation into getting more into your story and also talking more about your vision and I guess like your career in where you're at right now. And so yeah, man, thank you so much for sharing a bit about who you are. I guess what I want to do, man, right now is, one thing I believe in is that, before the glory, there's always a story, right? And so for you, man, like, although people, his definition of glory is, far more different than the way I believe that, bro, if you're making an impact and if you're helping people to become better, then that's something to celebrate and that's something to glorify. I guess that's probably the better term. And so, man, I guess the first thing I want to do, man, is I want to get, into your story, get into a bit of your upbringing. And so, bro, my first question to you, man, is like, can you share just a bit about, your upbringing growing up, probably starting at, in New Zealand?
Yeah. So I grew up in Central Auckland. To me, it just felt like a normal upbringing, I guess. Mom and dad were together. We lived in our grandparents' house. Bro, I looked up to, I guess, I don't know really where to go with this, but I'll just start talking. So I looked up to my dad hard out when I was growing up,
Yeah.
Islander dude. So always wanted to be like him. But so my dad came from a family of 10. And so, on my dad's side, there's like cousins galore. And we were all tight. Like those were my best friends growing up were like all my cousins. And so I grew up in one of those families. Yeah,
true. So I'm pretty sure, like, correct me if I'm wrong, you're talking about your father and you said that you looked up to him a lot.
Yep.
Could you kind of share just a bit about as to why? Like, was there a certain reason as to why? Because I know that you mentioned that he was a big dude, like when you were young. But was there any significance as to why he was kind of like your main guy?
I don't know, bro. He was just the man. Like everybody liked him. Like because he's like, number one, he's like the most generous person I know. Like And everybody knows that about him. And he's the type of guy, like, if you rock up to his house and let's say he's just made a feed for himself, he'll give it to you. And like, you won't sense any kind of like, man, I was about to eat that, but you can have it. Like, that's how generous he is. And he's the guy in the family that, like, people can always rely on. Like when people move over to Australia here, that they usually end up staying with him. Like, and they kind of just count on it. Like, hey, yeah, I'm coming to stay at your house just because they know he's cool like that. So I just grew up like kind of seeing everybody be attracted to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why I kind of thought he was the man like that. Yeah. But there was always 2 sides, like being an Islander family, like, we still got hidings and stuff.
Yeah.
I guess he impacted my life a lot, like growing up, even to where I am right now.
Yeah. But honestly, man, that's so amazing, man. It's amazing to hear that your dad was actually a massive kind of significant role to your life. But I love the fact that your dad was generous, because, one thing I believe in is Tony Robbins says that the secret to living is giving, right? The secret to living is giving. And so, that was a concept that I learned probably just over a year ago, And that's one thing I love doing, man. And sometimes, right, I think sometimes when it comes to your giving, because knowing that you mentioned about your father being generous, one thing I believe when it comes to giving is that I guess the more that you give, it, and in the hopes of that you're not going to get anything in return, the more life that you get to actually live. If that makes sense. And the only reason why I say that is because you're not focusing on yourself. You're not just focusing on yourself, you're actually focusing on other people. But I guess there's a bit of a balance that you need to take into play, that you need to make sure that not only are you giving out, but you're also receiving. Because I know for us polys, dude, is that that we're always keen on giving. But when it comes to receiving, no, it's fine. It's okay. Like, don't worry about it. I got it. It's all right. And I guess to me, one thing I've learned about that is it's a pride thing, right? We're not actually humbling ourselves to say, you know what? I'm thankful. Yeah, sweet. I'll take it. And yeah, bro, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, 100%, bro. All of that I agree with. And my dad's not perfect, and that's what he's like. That's what he's like. Like he'll make, if you come into his house, he'll make you feel like you live there. But he's not making himself feel the same way. You know what I mean? So he does have like downfalls and stuff like that. I don't know if I want to get into it, but yeah. So that's 100% true, bro. Like, and I think for me, I guess I'm still trying to learn that too. Like you do have to look after yourself. Sometimes you don't even realize, but like your whole day is dedicated to, you work for someone else. Then you come home, you're looking after your family. You get to take time to look after yourself.
Man, honestly, totally good point. Like on what you're saying with that, because I know that I've met a lot of people, and especially in my circle, who I'm looking and I'm just like, do you ever actually take time for you? Like, and it was funny. I put a post up actually. I think it was probably last week or week before. It's like, have you actually ever taken, or have you ever gone out on a date, not with a male, not with a female, but with yourself? And I learned that probably just over 2 years ago, because I was in a broken space probably just 2 years ago, and the one thing I had to learn was I never actually took time to look after me. I was always going out and reaching out and helping other people, but I didn't actually make time for me. And yeah, at the end of the day, we all are like, I guess self-awareness helps us in that space. Like once you're aware of what you're doing, then you can actually make some changes to it.
100%.
Yeah. And that was like something that I had learned too, bro. And so, man, no, thank you for sharing about that, man. I want to talk just roughly, because you like, you were just talking about your father. Do you want to just like talk a bit about your mom?
Yeah, my mom is like, oh man, she's just solid, bro. She's like a rock, like the workhorse of our family. Like I just grew up kind of watching her work hard, right? Looking after us. Like, one thing that kind of stands out right now is I seen her save my brother's life this one time. Yeah. Which she's just a solid, like you can always rely on her. When we started our family business, we opened a island food shop on the Gold Coast. She was, again, the rock, bro. Like she just held everything down. Yeah.
And it's crazy, man, because there's something, I don't know what it is, because I'm never ever going to be a mom like in my life. But I don't know, there's something like with a mum, like with mothers. I don't know what it is, but it's just like you know that you can like heavily rely on them. Especially when you're going through a lot of struggles. I know that there's a lot of nurturing, like that's kind of like their main front, is that they really like, they're kind of naturally nurturers. Yeah. In that space, and that's what we need. Like in my opinion, that's what we need as men.
Yep. And they're like the unsung heroes, bro. Like because they're so solid and reliable, you kind of forget that they're doing something amazing for you every single day.
Yeah. And bro, you told me this, right? You told me this, like, because I just had this mad thought in my head. When you're ever going through struggles, right? Like, say for example, like, you're finding, let's say you're trying to make dinner, and like, let's say wifey's out with the kids at a movie or something like that, and you're at home, you have to make dinner. If you can't get to the wifey, who do you go to in that space? who would you go to? Like, who's your next point in contact if it's not the wifey?
To be honest, I like just do stuff myself, eh? Yeah. I'm not like I don't usually go to people, but I do, like, I guess recently I've been starting to go to my parents more. But I used to be a dude like I'll just figure it out, like I'll suss it out. I don't need to ask for help.
Yeah,
I think that used to be one of my downfalls, bro. Like not asking for help.
Yeah. And bro, crazy enough, that is actually a serious thing. For those out there that are listening to this or watching this through like YouTube, like these are the things that a lot of people deal with, is that they actually don't choose to actually ask for help. I know a lot of people like that, but the reason why I was asking that question is because, like, for me personally, like, I naturally call my mom, right? If it's not my partner or if it's not her, it's actually my mom. Like, that's the next point in contact. Like, hey mom, ... It's like, oh hey, do you know this? And like usually, right, like probably 9 times out of 10, they've got the answer, which is crazy. It's like, oh, how do you do this? Oh, this is what you do. I'm like, man, it's so reliable and so considerate. Like that's what I believe in. And so that was just probably a tester. But if you're listening to this right now on like, through YouTube, like watching this through YouTube, or if you're listening to this, through Spotify, Apple Podcasts, let us know, let us know if you can actually relate to that, relate to that concept, who's that person that you call, when things are going a bit, how's it going? Or, life isn't going too well. Who's the person that you're calling? So I'm just going to chuck that out there for those out there that are listening on through. And so, yeah, man. So I'm guessing to you, man, that mum was also a significant part to your life.
Yep. Definitely. Just like I said, unsung hero, like did so much in the background. And then it's not until you like move out of home that you realize, oh man, like I got to clean my own room. I got to do my own washing. I got to, I got to look after myself.
Yeah.
And she's still the same, bro, to this day, like 100%.
Honestly, man, I don't think it's ever going to go. I think the only time it's going to go is when they go. Yep. Like, that's it. I'm like, I've had thoughts of that. I was like, do I ever think it's going to fade away? No. There's too much love. There's too much love there, obviously, because you are the seed. And so, yeah, man, I appreciate you sharing about that, man. So we spoke about your father. I spoke about your mom. You said that you have a brother. So, yep. So how many's in your family?
I got a little brother. He's 2 years old, younger than me, and I got a little sister. She's 16 years younger than me.
Yeah. And so how was that, bro? How was that growing up?
Growing up with my brother, bro, we used to fight all the time. We used to fight all the time. But it wasn't like other Islander families where like the oldest always just gives the youngest a hiding. Like I was scared to give him a hiding or even just make him cry because then I'll get a hiding. Like,
yeah.
So even though we were fighting, it was like a tug of war kind of thing. But I got heaps of funny, like, bro, memories of just us doing dumb stuff.
bro, talk to us, man. Bro, what would you say is like probably the number one thing that you guys would fight on? Like, can you recall like the number one thing that you guys would be just fighting over?
Oh, honestly, I can't recall what we fought over. It was anything, bro. Anything. Like I can just remember the fights.
Yeah.
I remember, we used to just do dumb stuff, bro. One time I just remember, I remember this because I got a hiding from my dad, but I was at my auntie's house. Who knows why we were fighting? He probably just like accidentally bumped into me. But I chased him down the stairs. He ran into the bathroom and I ran and tried to like bump the door open. He fell back, made a big hole in the wall. Just as that happened, my dad was walking through the door. Bro, I just remember seeing him being like, no. So, yeah, got a hiding that time.
Bro, honestly, it's the worst. Like I've had experiences like that before where it's just like bad timing, but good timing. Like good timing for you to get a hiding, but bad timing for you to get a hiding.
Yeah.
So like pretty much at the same time. And so, yeah, man, bro, like that's actually crazy. And like, you know what? One thing I've learned too when it comes to families is that you're always gonna have, disagreements. You're always gonna have like issues. I guess if you didn't have it, I don't think life would be as, I guess, the highs and lows wouldn't be. Shown. I think that's the bread and butter for us. when it comes to families, that we do have an opportunity to be surrounded by, our brothers or our sisters, because, there are people out there that don't, there's families out there that only can bear at least probably only one child in their life. And that one child's probably like, I want to have brothers or I want to have sisters. And then you have us who are like, I don't want any brothers, I don't want any sisters. And so I guess gratitude is one thing that we all got along for. So yeah, man, I appreciate it, bro. And so so you and your brother, had issues, growing up. What about your sister? You said that was 16-year gap?
Yeah. So with her, she's just like my little sister, bro. Like she's like the princess. I was already 16 when she was born, so I was driving to school, so I'd drop her off to kindy, just look after her hard out. And it's still kind of like that to today. Like, we're not ultra tight, but whenever I see her, it's like super embracing.
Yeah. And bro, I'm on the same point, because I do have a little sister too, man. And there's a 10-year gap between me and her. But even though there's that 10-year gap, man, like I look at her, pretty much in the same space as you, man. Like, princess of the family, she's the only girl too. And so I don't know, man. Like, there's just something when you have a sister and you just need to protect her. And I'm guessing that's something that you can relate to. Yeah,
100%. And she's like, oh man, she was like the smartest out of all of us. And she's got like a great boyfriend. He's the man. Cool ass dude. So I'm just like, I'm lucky that she's like, everything's worked out. Like, I haven't had to, go through anything, like any kind of struggles where like she had like a dickhead boyfriend or anything.
Yeah. So obviously she's like she switched on. Like, she switched on that. Yeah. That's mad, bro. That's actually really cool, man. And so, yeah, man, I want to say, bro, thank you for actually, sharing a bit about your family. Mom, dad, brother, and sister. That's so cool, bro, to hear about that, man. And so, I guess, go ahead.
Can I just say, I forgot to like tie it off with my brother. So today we don't fight at all. Like, now we have like heaps of respect for each other. He lives pretty close. He's got heaps of kids, and I love his kids. He loves my kids. So we're in like a really good space now. So, yeah, I just wanted to add that in just in case he sees this.
Oh, yeah. Hey. One thing I've learned too, man, is that, closure is important. Like, placing closure at the end is very important. So, guys, for those that are listening, they're all good, right? The brothers are all good. So don't worry, they're not fighting anymore. It's all love. It's all love.
Yeah, that's it. 100%.
I just want to bring closure for those people out there. And so, yeah, man, bro. So, like, we've talked a bit about your family, a bit about your upbringing. I guess my next step I want to talk about, man, is you said that you have a wifey. Like you said that you're married now. You have kids. So, I want to transition from the family that you were a part of to the family that you had bred. And so, I guess from this point, man, bro, how did you and the missus meet?
Interesting. I don't know if I didn't expect us to go here, but we met at school, bro. Like, so we met at school, but we didn't hook up until after I left.
Okay.
So my 18th birthday, bro, I told my parents I was just gonna have just the rugby boys around.
Yeah.
But I had, because I'm born in February, I'd only just left school, right? Like just a few months ago. And the whole school heard that there was going to be like drinks at my house.
Oh no!
And everybody rocked up, bro.
That's when you know, bro. Oh no! Yeah. once you hear drinks, oh no!
But it was actually mean, bro. Because all my cousins, I said we were tight. They all came, bro, and they were like all older, so there was no dramas or anything. It was just a mean time, and that was where me and Alex hooked up.
True. Yeah. No, true. So went to the same school?
Yep.
And then obviously met after. Oh, that's mad, bro. And so how long you guys been together?
So we've been together now. So that was my 18th birthday. I'm 35 now. So 17 years.
Damn, bro. 17 years. Bro, guys, 17 years. I said that, right? And plus marriage, how long has been?
Yep. We got married in 2014. So
that's still long. Like that's
really, bro. And honestly, for all the brothers out there that are watching this, you're not married yet. Honestly, bro, do it. It was like the best. It was the best day. It was the meanest, bro. All of our family came over. We were the center of attention, and it was just 100% love. Like, have to do it.
That's hectic, bro. Like, I love that, man. I love hearing the because like the reason I'm asking about this is because I've had to be fully transparent. One thing that we need as a man is we need a woman, right? Like we need a woman, right? Like we need a female in our life. And I'm not saying to those out there go find a wife now, but I'm saying like for like naturally for us men, we're in need of someone like of the opposite sex to connect with us and to help us, guide us. Because let's be real here. Like there's probably been some some let's say weaknesses or like blind spots in your life that it was only through marriage where it was exposed, or during your relationship that was exposed. And so is that something that you can relate to?
Yeah, 100%. I believe that, like everything you just said, there's always, it's like duality. Like there's always two sides. It's yin and yang. Like if you don't have that, there's just things that you don't know. You don't know that you don't know. And then it's not until you actually like connect with somebody like on the deepest level. And to be honest, like every year it just gets deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
That's when you start to learn different things, like even about yourself.
Yeah. And bro, that's amazing. Bro, the one thing I love that you just mentioned was going deeper and deeper, because I've actually met couples, whether they're married or whether they're, just dating. And the one thing that they kind of lacking is going deeper. It's just like kind of surface level the whole time. But what's been some of the things that you've learned through your relationship with your partner? Because the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because people don't realize that these are the things that are the underlying factors behind your success in terms of, whether it's marketing or whether it's your businesses. And so I'm trying to get, the people to understand more about the whys, the things that are unseen. And one of the things that are unseen is your partner, helping you out and like in that area. And so, yeah, man.
Bro, it's everything. Like everything that you learn, everything that I've freaking learned over the last how many years, like I can see like I could have learned that just from my relationship. Like things about myself, like it's hard to kind of pinpoint something, but I know that recently I kind of had this realization that like my ego drives me a lot, even though I think I'm not an egotistical person. Like, I work behind the scenes and stuff like that. Yeah. But
I'm on the same boat, bro. Like, don't worry, man.
So
you're not alone on that one.
This is how I realized it, bro. So like I have a lot of road rage, but not like pulling over and like trying to knock somebody out. Like I'll just see somebody, like if I see somebody do something stupid on the road, like a dude that's like weaving through the lanes or they're changing lanes for no reason and then they're slowing down, I'll get pissed off and I'll be like, "Are you effing idiot?" Like, and what I realized, and my missus used to tell me this all the time. She's like, "Why do you do that?" Like, asking me that question, "Why do you do that?" And I'm like, "Because that guy's an idiot." And then after thinking about it for like, she kind of brought it up and I kind of thought about it. I was like, you know what? The reason why I'm doing that is because I'm trying to make myself seem like I'm the best driver out there. I'm noticing this guy do something. It's not affecting me at all. The reason why I'm saying it out loud, like I'm bringing it to everyone's attention, is because I'm trying to say I'm the best driver here. And so like just those kind of things that you learn about yourself when you actually listen to your partner.
And bro, that like one thing I've learned too about like, being in a relationship and like having like a significant other or partner, like one thing I've really learned about that is that they actually are there to like help you. Whereas like sometimes we see it as like, oh, you're hurting me, but it's like, they're not hurting you. They're actually telling you the truth. So then you can understand and be revealed from the blind spots that you've been like pretty much lacking in throughout the whole course of your existence, through life. Like, bro, same page as you, man. Like in terms of ego, like, I have my partner that's there simply so that she can keep me accountable. And I'll tell her things, I'll be fully transparent with her and say, hey, like I'm going through this. Can you check up on me? And she'll be like 100%. And she will tell me, and that's, I feel like those are the women that you need in your life. Like are ones that are just true, and I will tell you the truth, because at the end of the day, they're wanting you to become free, free from the lies that you've been probably believing in, and probably like looking into. Because yeah, as you mentioned, man, in your story about the road rages and stuff like that, if your partner wasn't there, you'd probably still be doing it, and you would have no like, no self-awareness whatsoever.
100%, bro. And honestly, good on you, bro, for talking to your partner like that. Like, it took me a while to kind of, be open to being vulnerable like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bro, honestly, man, it took me probably a while, but like obviously not a while to your while. It might have been, your one's probably been like a lot longer.
Yeah.
But you know what? The cool thing is, man, is that we're both on the same page now. I'm being transparent. And obviously there's still work in progress. Like, we're never going to be perfect, and I'm pretty sure you're on the same page too.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, which is cool, man. And so, man, thank you for sharing about that too, man. Like, about your partner. These are like the things that a lot of people don't know. She's probably your rock too, just as much as your parents, and vice versa. And also you got other support, support areas and support groups in your life too. And so now, bro, I want to talk just, before we get into, the main part of the podcast. Bro, how's the kids, man? Like, how does it feel knowing that you're a father?
Bro, it's the best. It's the best. Like I always wanted to be. I was a young father.
Okay.
Like, I had my first son when I was 21.
Yep.
So yeah, young dad, but I kind of always wanted to be one. Like, and so it's the best, bro. It's the best. Like, they inspire me. I learn heaps from them too.
Yeah. And bro, like, I'm curious to know too, man, is there things that you see in them that you see in yourself?
Yeah, heaps, bro. Like, my son is exactly like me. So my son, like, I was the type of person growing up where I could learn things really fast. So I could pick things up really fast, like, like, especially like playing sports and stuff. So I would be, if I played sports with like my group of friends, I could get like better than them at the start, but then usually that overtake me. And I see the same thing with him. So he does things like he's a gamer. But he also, like, he's quite sporty as well. Like, he's playing touch right now.
Yeah.
And he has the ability to, like, just get really good, like, compared to the people around him. And watching him is where I kind of made a little realization that because we're like that, you might be like this. Like, I think that it's kind of like a Polynesian thing, naturally good at like sports and stuff.
Yeah.
Because we get real good at stuff, like, we see our progress just going bam, 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 like that. But there's always a point that we hit where the progress slows. And because you're used to your progress going like this, it's so boring, like, to slow down. Whereas people who aren't naturally good at stuff, their progress is like this from the start. And so they don't have that feeling of like, oh, this sucks now. So that's why they can stay longer at something. Yeah. Whereas my son, like, he's 14 now. He's played soccer. He's played rugby. He's played league. He's played touch. He's even done trampolining. Like, he's done all this stuff, and he was good at it all, but he hasn't settled into anything. And so that's how I kind of learned that about him, and it was a reflection on me.
That's crazy, man. That's actually so crazy, because like, if you look at that concept, or the structure that you were just talking about, that's pretty much how life is for some people. Let's say, for example, and I know that you can relate to this when it comes to like the fitness journeys. Like, you can go into, like, let's say, for example, a gym, right? You jump in the gym, and if you're just going straight hard, like, straight in 180, saying, you know what, I'm going to do, taking all these, supplements, or going in, just going to go real hard. Obviously, we already know what's going to happen, right? It's going to get boring, your journey, or your fitness journey becomes boring. And then instead of us just like, cruising, we're literally cruising, you know what I mean? Like, we're cruising down. We're not actually staying stagnant. We just say, you know what? Oh, it's getting too boring. Nah, I'm just going to leave. Yep. And that was something that I went through. In terms of my fitness journey, I think it was in 2017. I said to myself, typical New Year's resolution. I said, yeah, sweet, I'm going to go sign up to a gym. Sign up to the gym, only to realize in a month later, I stopped. Like, I stopped going. And the only reason why is because I went hard. I went too hard at the start, and I didn't progress. At the moment. And so, and I guess that's like a natural thing, as, like you're mentioning about Islander. It could potentially be, it could potentially be something that's just naturally in us. But one thing I've learned too is just, you want to just have like little progresses each and every day, each and every week. And that's how I was able to make a change in my fitness journey, was through taking little steps, eh?
Yep, 100%, bro. That's where I'm kind of at now. Same thing. Like I'm just trying to take it easy because consistency is the most important thing.
Yeah. And you know what? One thing I always talk about is it's always about the little things, eh? Like it's all the little things, the small steps. One thing that I learned this week was, small commitments leads to big results. And if you want big results, take the small steps, like it could be as little as, going to the gym for 5 minutes and then going home. And then the next week say, all right, I'm going to go for 6 minutes and then go, yes, it sounds a bit, corny, but it works. It worked for Sophia. It worked for her when it came to her and her fitness journey. She said, you know what, I'm going to run or I'm going to walk for an hour or so on. And she's actually a living proof of that. Although, the journey was quite different to other people, she still made she still ended up achieving a goal. And so it's man, like that's something I wanted to share.
It's not corny. It's 100%. Because when you think about like everybody's been through a situation where they were doing something like gym, for example, right? And they got to a point where they're like, oh man, because when you think about the session ahead, it's like hati, like it's a hard session.
Yeah.
But imagine if it was just 5 minutes. Like anybody can achieve that. And that's the most important thing, that you get there. So I agree with what you just said 100%. It's not corny.
yeah, I know. Because funny, bro, I used to think it was corny, but then I realized I'm like, no. These are what the successful people do. This is how successful people become successful, is because they're focused on the progress. They're focused on the pursuit, as opposed to 100%, man. And so yeah, man, I just wanted to share that because, you were talking about your son, and even that this is like a direct reflection of yourself, that, there's moments where we just skyrocket and say, you know what, I'm just going to go fully 100% in. And because there's no control or there's no kind of measures in place, we just start to, plateau, start to get a bit boring. And then we say, you know what? I'm going to try something else. And bro, that's something that I'm just like, I'm taking that and I'm chucking it in here because that will actually help me out too.
Yeah, sure. And so I got my daughter, she's 12. Yeah. And she's an elite gymnast, bro. And she inspires me on a different level because when she was like 6, we took her to go play touch. Yeah. And she didn't last 10 seconds. I had to hold her hand on the field. As soon as we started running around, she just cried, bro, and didn't stop. So touch is not for her. And my wife used to be a dancer. And so she was like, I think she got a thing in the mail for gymnastics. Let's just go try this. Bro, she tried it and that's her thing. It just clicked. She is man, she you know how I said rise, rise, rise? She hasn't stopped rising, bro. And she's been doing it for, I think since she was 6. So almost 10 years now. Nah, she's probably about 6 or 7 years. Yeah. But and the funny thing about her is she's an elite gymnast, but she doesn't have natural sporting ability. If you throw a ball at her, she'll fumble it. And so she's just lucky that she found her thing really early. And now she's spent most of her life working on it. Yeah.
And you know what? Man, I just had this mad thought. I'm just going to share quickly, man. So you have your son, right? You have your son who's skyrocketer, gets in, goes fully hearty as, into the sport and says, you know what, I'm going to be the best. And that's amazing. It's amazing that he actually has a spirit of excellence, saying, you know what, I'm going to, sharpen. And obviously we already know where that comes from, wink. And then obviously you've got that, right? And then you've also got your daughter who still is climbing the ranks. But the one thing I've just defined right now is that you've got your son who is focusing on many different things, right? And then you have your daughter who's focusing on just the one. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Just focusing on that one thing. And the one thing that I want to bring attention to is that's the same thing. I don't know if you've heard the the quote or the saying where it says, "Oh, a jack of all trades, a master of none." Yeah. Yep. That was something that that's one thing I only got exposed to a couple months ago. That I was literally like your son, who was just really, really skyrocketing and saying, you know what, I'm going to try everything. And then obviously came to a point where I got boring, so I changed. And then I will go again, and then I'll change. But the one thing I'm doing right now is I'm just doing what your daughter's doing, which is pretty much you saying, you know what, I'm just going to focus on gymnastics because I'm good at it. And not only because I'm good at it, because it's fun, but she's and if you look at it like now, she's probably going to progress more as she continues in the gymnastic phase. Whereas like your son is probably going to be like still like looking for like a different like area or different place to kind of sit. And so I wanted to share that only because like that's actually a concept that that we should be using, when it comes to, whether it's business, whether it's like our sporting, phase, if you're wanting to play, a specific sport. And I guess the takeaway that I'm wanting to share to everyone is that, as they say, jack of all trades, a master of none. A master of none, meaning that like, although you're trying all these other things, you're not actually mastering that one concept. And so I guess that's probably the takeaway I'm wanting to share. And the only reason I wanted to share that is because I'm pretty sure there's someone out there that's probably listening to it and be like, man, I needed that. Like, I needed to hear that. I probably need to just focus on that one thing. That's
right, man. And the reason why I kind of explained it like pretty smoothly is because I actually explained it to my son like probably about a month ago. Yeah. Because I was just thinking about it and I was like, you know what? I need to tell him this so that he doesn't make the same mistakes I do.
Yeah. And I guess because like I'm not a father myself, but like I'm guessing from a father's perspective, your main goal or like your main heart is to make sure that your kids don't make the same mistake as you.
Yeah, and also like I try not to use too much negative reinforcement, like because that's how we were brought up. Like, don't do that. Like, you get told not to do something after you've done it. Yeah. Like I want to teach them what they should be thinking about, like where they should be heading.
Yeah, 100%, man. But hey, you know what's crazy, man? We're actually getting some like, personal development from your kids, bro, which is hectic.
100%, bro. They're mean as. Like, I love them. They inspire me every day.
Oh man, that's amazing, bro. That's amazing. And I guess, man, so let's do a bit of a recap for those out there listening. Logan's just been sharing about, his family, his upbringing, his father being a most significant part of his life, him seeing him as part of his, like, seeing him as a mad role model in his life. And then also talking about his mum and how like, mad solid she is when it comes to, being like fully, heavily reliable in moments, especially when he started his own business. His food business, like mum was there still helping, and she's still helping, still to this day. And then obviously with your family, your brother, and then your sister too, and having that mad connection still now to this day. And then we ended up drifting into your family, and seeing how you and your partner ended up connecting. 18th birthday, had all the cousins around, spending time. And then obviously we ended up, finishing off at this point talking about, your children. And I guess, for me, the whole concept as to why I wanted to talk about that is simply because these are the things that people don't see. People don't see the massive love that you have for, your parents, or the massive love that you have for your own kids and for your own partner too. And so I guess what I want to do right now is I want to shift into, a part of your journey into this life that you get to live. And I guess the next stage I want to talk about, man, is that, through like every story in this whole entire world, everyone has a story. And like in every story, there's always some sort of a setback that happens. Mm-hmm. There's some sort of like an issue that arises. And so I guess the question I got for you, bro, is what would you say was the biggest setback that you've had in your life?
Oh, setback in my life?
Yeah. So like, what was one thing that, kind of put you back instead of, pulling you forward in your life?
I guess probably this is something that kind of like I actually shared this with you the last time we talked, and it's not really a setback. It's just kind of something that held me back.
Yeah, come on.
So I was so when I was little, right, I was like I was pretty smart for like a little islander kid in school, and I was like super into science. Like that was my favorite subject, and the two things I was really into was like astronomy and dinosaurs, right? And I remember one day when I was little, I came home with those book club things.
Yeah,
those book club flyers where you can just order the books. You give the money to school, and they give you the book like a week later. Came home with that, and I was looking through it, and there was a dinosaur encyclopedia, like a kid's one. And it was like $5 or something like that. And I remember asking my dad if he could buy it for me. And he said no. Right. And that was that. Like, I wasn't too fussed about it at the time. But fast forward to when I moved to Australia, 2008, 23 years old. When when you come to Australia, you got no qualifications and no connections to people. You just need to provide for your family. You just get the first job that you can get, right? And the first job that you can get is always the last job that anybody wants. Mm-hmm. And so I just went straight into like hard laboring jobs, and I just worked my ass off. But like a few years into that, like I was trying to be good at the job, but I wasn't loving it. And I remember looking back on that time when I asked my dad for the book, and I remember thinking, man, if my dad had bought me that book, I might be a scientist right now. Like, my job could be totally different. I might not be driving this truck, lifting this heavy stuff all day long. And I even remember like telling heaps of people, like, on the weekend we're getting drunk, and that comes out like, man, this is what happened to me, man. Who knows what I could have been if my dad had just bought me that book. And probably held on to that for like 5 years. And then once my mindset changed because I started reading books. And once my mindset changed and I thought about that, I was like, wait a minute. That story is what's keeping me here. Like, yeah, it's 100% true that happened and I'm here where I am, but I need to let it go. Otherwise I'm going to stay here. I need to let it go and find a way to move out of this. And so I guess that was the biggest thing, like me just holding on to old excuses.
Bro, that's honestly, man, like that's so impacting. Like, you just sharing that, like, again, because I do remember the last time we, having a chat about this. Like, you sharing that again, man, just makes me, think to myself that the words that you share, especially as a father, but I guess not just as a father, but as a young person, listening to those words. Like, it was so evident, even though like you were way older, you still remember that moment. And it was because it was so evident in your life. And it's crazy to see that was a setback, or more of like a setback that you had in your own life. That was probably one thing that was holding you back from actually, walking and pushing through to what you're wanting to do. And, it was crazy too that you mentioned about drinking, that when you were drinking the whole time, like, or probably like, majority of the time you would say, if only like my dad got me that book. And it was like all these excuses that you're building up. And so, bro, knowing that was your setback, or, something that was holding you back, what would you say was the setup for you? What was the one thing or the things that actually helped you to build you up to be the person that you are now?
Okay. So, bro, I had a mate, like I was like well into my construction career as a laborer. Yeah. And I was visiting New Zealand this one time. But I had a mate at the time who had quit his job, and he had gone back to uni to learn like how to be a property like developer or something like that. And he was the man, bro. Like, he was the top of his class. He was killing it. And I went back to New Zealand like for a visit, and he like rang me up. He was like, bro, I want you to come meet with me. And so I went to like this bar. We sat down, and he gave me a proposal. And he was like, I'm going to start investing in property. And like, here's a proposal. I want to see if you want to invest with me. And I looked at it, and bro, like I didn't have, he wanted like 10 grand. I didn't have the 10 grand, but I had like no debt in my name. So I could have got the money, but I was just super impressed with the whole thing, bro. Like, he was changed. He was a different person to when I left New Zealand. And this proposal that he gave me was off the hook. So like, I came back to Australia, and I was working, bro. And on my lunch break, I pulled it out and I was reading it, and I was like, man, what am I up to? Like, what am I up to? I'm smart like this dude. Like, I could be doing this. And that was the turning point, bro. That was the turning point. That's what made me start reading books. Like, I needed to improve myself.
That's crazy, man. That is actually so crazy to see that it wasn't some big event. It wasn't some, flashy, event that, like a massive speaker came in. It was just a small kind of time with your mate, and you just having that revelation in your head, man,
Mm.
if that guy can do what he's doing and he's being successful, man, I can do the same thing. And like, I don't know, man, correct me if I'm wrong, bro, but it sounded to me, bro, that you had a burning desire. Like you had a burning desire to say, you know what, I don't want to be working in this place. Like I don't want to be working in construction. And plus you're on your break at work. And so you're pretty much, I don't know, man, like you're probably looking around saying, why am I here? Like, why am I here? I shouldn't be here. Like I don't mind working, but doing this for the rest of my life. And then from that point, bro, just having that desire to say, you know what, I actually want to do something different. I want to do something that I truly love. Is that something that you can correct me? Correct me if I'm wrong.
It was pretty much that, bro. But except I was like, I don't know what to do, but I need to do something.
Man.
And yeah. I guess what happened was I remember, I think it might have been at that moment. I remembered that when I was a teenager, my auntie gave me a book. It was called Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Oh, yep.
I remembered like, I'm going to go read that. And that was the first book that I read.
Is that Robert Kiyosaki?
Yeah.
Bro, that's actually, I'm not going to lie, man, that's my next book to read. So I haven't read it yet. At the moment I'm reading Think and Grow Rich.
Yep.
Which is like
that was, bro, I love that book. That one.
Awesome.
That was the next one I read.
Yeah. So, yeah, man. Like, bro, I can't wait to read that book, man. Like, once I read that book, bro, I'm going to hit you up.
Yeah. Because it's a good one to start on. Like, you're probably more advanced now, but that I think that one is kind of written for teenagers.
Yeah.
Like, to start changing your thinking. So, that super opened my mind. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, man. Like I was just gonna say, bro. Like it's crazy because like one thing I've learned too, through like the course of my life is that it's all your belief systems, eh? It's just all in what you believe, and it's all in here. Like let's say for example, there's a person listening to this right now, and you're probably working in a construction business, or you're probably doing mad laboring, or you're probably working for someone else, right? Like in terms of like you're probably at Woolies, or you're in retail, wherever you are right now, and what's happened is that you've probably had this belief system in your head that like, oh, I probably have to work to make money for, the family. And so the typical thing that you do is you just find a job. You just go out there and probably go to work at Woolies. That's something I did. Or if you go to, McDonald's, to like the typical jobs. And like, just a disclaimer, I'm not putting it down or anything. Like, bro, I worked in the retail. But the one thing that I learned through like reading books and, listening to people that are successful is that they talk about a thing called paradigm shift, and that was probably something that you had went through, man, that you went through a moment of like you shifting your perspective and saying, yeah, man, I'm not actually supposed to be here. Like, why am I here? And obviously like the reason why you were there is because you had to make, ends meet for the family, moving from New Zealand and then, coming into Australia. It's like, at the end of the day, your first thought is just find a job, your first thought is just like, find a job, make ends meet. But then obviously, because you don't have like the end goal in mind, you just stay there. You just stay in the construction business or like the construction job that you were at. But it's amazing, bro. It's amazing to see that you had that paradigm shift that you said, you know what? Like, I know I can do far more better. And look at where you are now, man.
Yeah. That's what happened, bro. Just led to, that was the start of the sequence of events that got me to where I am now. So now, like I'm not in construction. I quit construction on the 31st of January, 2017.
Yo.
So I've been doing my own thing for nearly 4 years now. And
which is crazy, man. And we're probably gonna like talk about that, very soon, because I really want you guys to hear, Logan's story, like, his background story before, finishing off and leading into, what he's doing now. And so, yeah, man, bro, that's actually a mad story. That's actually a mad story to hear, the setbacks that you went through, but not only just the setbacks, but the setup, the thing that actually made you who you are. Because I think a lot of people forget, I know that the people that I speak to, during the week, I know that a lot of people forget about the, like the things that they can do, like the solution that's actually helped them to become where they are now. All they're focused on is the problem. And so, yeah, man, bro, appreciate you so much for sharing about that. I'm getting impacted. One thing I always say in every podcast is that, like, the beauty behind me being a podcast host is that I get to hear the stories, and I get to be impacted, firsthand. And so, yeah, man, I guess from now, bro, I want to talk a bit about because we've spoken about your setups and your setbacks that you've had in your life, bro. Now I want to get into what I call like the climax. This is probably the best moment of the podcast. I love to leave it at the end. And bro, I want to talk about what you're doing now and what you're passionate in. And so, bro, can you kind of just talk a bit about the transition that happened from your construction, working in construction, and then leading into your business?
Okay, so I started reading books. Like, that's where it kind of all started. And it took me, bro, it was still a long time before I actually got out. But bro, so my first business was a island food shop on the Gold Coast called Brown's Island Food. The way that came about was I got together with the boys, like all the boys that I work with. We were all mates from back in NZ. Like, one of them was my cousin, and the other two, like, I went to school with and I played league with growing up. And bro, we met up and we sat around our poker table and we were like, what can we do? Like, we need to start a business. We need to get the hell out of this job. And bro, we were shooting ideas like, who's gonna do what? Who's gonna do what? The first idea that we worked on for ages was to start a dialer driver company, right? Yep. Like, dialer drivers.
What's that, bro?
That's when, like, you drive to the pub, but then you get pissed, so you ring somebody up and they drive your car home.
Oh, true. Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
so that was one of the business ideas, and then the other one was to start an island food shop on the Gold Coast because there was none at the time. Yeah. And bro, I went away from that thinking, flip, that is the best idea. Like, we need to do this. And so I messaged the boys. Like, the next day, I was like, boys, I'm super keen on this island food idea. Let's all meet up same time next week. Bro, same time next week came, nobody showed up.
Oh.
It was just me. And I was just like, you know what? I don't give a damn. Like, I'm going to do this by myself. But my problem was, at the time, I couldn't cook island food. Like, even to this day, I'm not good at cooking island food. But I had my auntie and my mom, who they were unemployed at the time. And they are the masters of cooking island food.
Come on.
And that was like a really big lesson that I like to share with people, is that if you want to start a business, you don't have to be the expert.
Very good.
You just need to be business minded and just willing to have a crack. And so, and we started as a side hustle, bro. We started on weekends. We just did events and stuff, got a gazebo, and we did that for like 2 years. So 2 years I was doing this on the weekends, and built up a bit of money doing that, built up a name. Like, that was probably the most important thing. Like, we had a good name, that like our food was good. And then, bro, went in to tell my boss, told my boss, like, I'm out, like, I'm about to make this my full-time hustle. And that was the best feeling, bro. Walking out of there was the best feeling. Like, that's actually one feeling that I want everybody to feel, to walk out of your job knowing I never have to come back here.
Yeah.
And, so started with the island food shop, bro. It took off. It was because there was a lot of anticipation. Like, we had built up a following on Facebook and stuff like that. And so we were telling everybody, we're about to launch. So it took off, bro, for a good, like, 6-7 months.
Yeah.
Round about the 7-month time, it started to plateau out. And that's where I started to get a bit nervous. And I was like, oh man, like, I need to do something. Like, what I'm doing isn't working anymore. And I knew that marketing was like the key. Like, I had to figure out what was wrong with my marketing, because when you don't know, you just don't know.
Yeah, 100%.
You just don't know what you don't know. And so I did a marketing course. It was actually like a Facebook ads course. And bro, that just super opened my mind. Like, straight away, I know what to do. So went back to the business, started changing things up. It started to go up again. But then we started having other problems, bro, because like, when your business is growing, you have troubles like, just managing people. People want to be sick. Sometimes you're wasting food. Heaps of different mistakes. Like, when you get busy, especially for a restaurant, bro, you need more stuff. So it costs you more money. You need more stock because that's what you're selling. You use more power, and bro, so as the income was going up, the expenses were just coming up with it. And so I wasn't really making any more money by doing that. But because I now had this like awakening of marketing, I was like, man, I want to learn more about this and I want to kind of pursue it.
Yeah.
And so while I was still running Brown's Island Food, I started to like dabble in marketing, just helping people that I knew that already had businesses. And interesting thing is, like, I went into heaps of different industries. Like I help a hair salon, gymnastics club, my daughter's gymnastics club, coaches, people that were doing network marketing, heaps of different people, bro. Just help them with marketing. And interesting thing is that I found out that every single one of the businesses were having the exact same problems that we were, bro. Like, managing people, expenses going up when you get busy, not having like a high enough profit margin.
Yeah.
And the only people that weren't having those dramas were the people that had online businesses. Like they were easily scalable. And so that, like, I guess that was kind of like the beginning of the end of Brown's Island Food, because while Brown's Island Food was still running, my mind was really like starting to look this way.
Yeah. And you know what, bro, just to add on to what you're saying about that, the one thing I've learned too is that, everyone in life, we all have needs, right? We all have needs inside of us. And if one thing is really filling your needs, so say, for example, your marketing, right? The marketing side of the field, like you're like, bro, I'm getting a lot of, progress, like I'm actually really loving it. And that's filling your need. And the more that it fills your need, the more that you draw need to it. But as opposed to like, with the Brown's Food, it's like, man, like, although it was, something else has taken over. And I guess the reason why I'm sharing that is because that's usually what happens. There's usually a reason why you'd make that certain decision of following through on, like, let's say for you, man, like marketing. But if you're listening to this right now, you may be going through a season where you're like, I don't know why I'm feeling this way. I don't know why I have this desire. And the reason why you have a desire is simply because what you're doing, that is filling your need. Like there's a need inside of you and it's really filling you up. And I guess, bro, with what you're talking about in terms of the marketing space, I guess there was something that was filling you up that you've never actually been filled before.
Yeah. It was just super interesting, bro. And that's naturally, you're going to be drawn to that. But on the flip side of what you just said, it's also like things that you struggle with, like turning your back on those things. And that's what was happening in the Brown's Island Food business. Like I knew I wasn't a good manager of people. And like, that's what I had learned. And so I like kind of hated doing that. And I tried to get people to do it for me, but it wasn't working out. Also, like, keeping on top of finances, bro, that's another thing that I hated. And these are like the main things in a business. Like you need to be good at managing people, keeping on top of your finances. And then in my opinion, the other one is marketing. So I had that was the one strength I had. And so I guess Brown's Island Food we came to the end of our lease. So we had an option. We had an option to either keep going with it, but that would mean another 3 to 5 year commitment, or we kind of just like, let's just cut it here, like go out on top kind of thing. And, we went over there for months, bro. And then we finally decided, nah, because like, I'm driving it, but I'm not fully in it at the moment. And I think everybody kind of sensed that. So we decided to close the shop. We still got a good brand. Like my mom's like every now and then, a few weeks ago, she sold some donuts, island donuts, bro. We just put a post on the page and they sell out. Man. So it was good to go out on, like, on top, kind of in a good way. And we kind of want to keep it alive. So we're going to like try and do stuff like that. Just not because we have plans for it, just for the sake of it. Yeah. But yeah, that was where I started to go into like different businesses, online businesses.
Yeah. That's amazing, bro. Like, it's amazing to see that, there was closure. Because, that's one thing that we're talking about before. It's just like, the good thing you want to do, man, is just bring closure. And it was cool to see that for your business. Because I know personally, bro, I've seen some businesses fall and there's no closure whatsoever. There's no like end point. It's just like everyone's like all like looking around being like, bro, what's going on? Like, are you guys running? Are you guys aren't? And then what ends up happening is that's when stories are created, right? That's when the stories, like, the lies, the fibby stories are being created because there is no closure whatsoever. So yeah, man, kudos to you guys for actually, bringing that closure in. And like, like that needs to be, like, I guess that needs to be appreciated, Like you guys should actually take that on board, because I've seen businesses and I've actually spoken to some people where they've just left and like, bro, it's like everyone's looking like, okay, what do we do now? Like they're gone. And so, yeah, man, it's good that you guys done that, but also to see that the brand, right? The food, people know who to go to, not what to go to now. And like for me personally, that's what I believe in when it comes to, for me, like I'm building my own brand and my own personal brand. And the reason why I'm doing that is so that people know that it's the who, not the what. Whatever I do, that's fine. Like if I do podcasting, I'm like my main heart is to help the fatherless out, because I'm fatherless myself. But whatever I do, like people are going to follow me for me. You know what I mean? Like people are going to follow me for who I am, not for what I do. And that, to me, that's what sounds like that is happening, not just with yourself, man, but also with your mum and your auntie.
Yep. That's right. 100%. And I guess like as a business, that's kind of the hardest thing to do, like to get people to know you, especially today, like with so much that's going on, like social media, just heaps of different distractions. And that's what I like about your podcast, bro. Like the impact, like, cause for people to remember you have to make an impact in some way on their life.
No, it's so true, bro. It is so true, man. And it's funny, bro, that you talk about impact, because to me, when it comes to impact, like it may be like the small things, it may be like the small impacts that you make, or it might be the big impact, but whatever it is, it's just impact, that's the goal that you're wanting. That's like my goal. My goal is for someone to actually say to themselves, you know what, I've been impacted by this podcast and I'm so impacted that I want to change. That's kind of like my heart. And it's crazy to see the people that just follow through on the journey. And, it's been over a year now, since we've been doing like podcasting, that I've been like interviewing, I think for 7-8 months now, just building rapport and like, connecting with people. But yeah, man, like my main heart, bro, is just that impact, like impacting the one.
Yep. Yeah. That's solid.
Yeah, man. But yeah, bro, like, but that's an amazing story, man. It's amazing to see like the transformation that you went through, when it come to, moving from your construction business to Brown's, like with the Island Foods, and then from the Island Foods to moving out and doing marketing. And so, bro, can you talk a bit about the marketing? Because I know that this is actually going to lead to the last part that we're going to talk about into what you're doing right now.
Yeah. Well, what happened after that, bro, was the people that I had been already kind of working with, just kind of really, I just say it was dabbling because it was on the side of business. One of them like freaking made heaps of money. Like we made heaps of money together. And she actually had people reaching out to her in her community. She was kind of like an affiliate marketer / network marketing type setup. Heaps of people started reaching out to her like, how did you do that? Like all of a sudden you just shot up. And she was like, oh, Logs helped me. Logs helped me with my marketing. We just did this and this and this. And they were like, teach us how to do that. And so we like started teaching people. Like we started off, it was like a marketing course.
Yeah.
So we started off with just a small group of people with like $50, and we just taught them. And then they started like getting results. And then the next wave of people were like, teach us. And they're like, okay, well, this time it's going to cost more than $50. Bro, we got it up to $1,000 and we're selling out. And so we were making, like, we continued to make money together. And it was like, this is the best partnership. Then this is where it got interesting, because we had an opportunity where this massive group of people, like over 200 people, were like, we need something. And instead of like continuing on the path we were at, we were like, let's do this. Like, let's grab these 200. And we changed our whole business model. And working with those 200, holy crap, we learned so much. Like, bro, the bigger, we just went, we tried to go too fast. You've probably heard that before. Like, that can be a failure.
Yeah.
We went from managing like 20 people to 200, and we had no idea. Like, we thought it would be all sweet, but so many things, bro. One of the biggest things that I kind of learned in that little venture was that people, like poisonous people, can bring you down. Like, if you have one person who's kind of like causing dramas, it can bring your whole business down.
Yep.
And so we had that. We went through that a couple of times, bro. And oh man, it was just a rocky road, eh? Like we made some money, we lost some money, we tried some cool things, we hooked up with heaps of cool people. At the end of last year, bro, we hooked up with Raniera Reweri.
Yeah.
We hooked up with him, Isaac John, and we were gonna do an event this year in May, but COVID happened.
Yeah.
And so that like cool things happened, but also downfalls happen. And then at the start of COVID, it got to a point where we were just like, I've got no more hair to pull out. Like,
yeah.
And COVID's just hit, and we just made like the decision, like let's end it here. And so that was like I learned so much. Like in online business, you learn a lot faster than you do in like having a shop, because you can make changes like this. Like when you go to shop, if you want to make a change, it can take like a week or 2 weeks for you to see the difference. In online business, you make a little change in your business, bam, the next day you can see how it affected everything. And so we learned a lot. How long that? I think that was probably like a year. We did that. And then just as we closed it, you know what? The same week, I got a call from Victorious, who I had been doing marketing for on the side. And they were like, bro, like COVID shut us down. We need to go online right now. Are you keen? And I was like, funny you should ask, because I'm
shut down. Yeah.
So, and like, bro, when I started with Victorious, I was like, you know what? All these side projects I got going on, I'm going to push them right to the side. I'm going to focus on this one thing. And so that's what I've been doing for the last 6-7 months.
Bro, that's amazing, bro. So guys, if you guys are listening to this right now, that is a story. That's a story on how he got into Victorious, and like that's amazing, man. Like I'm listening to you right now being like, bro, I needed to hear this. Like I needed to hear this, bro. Simply because, man, there's a lot of things, a lot of little gems that I'm getting. And the cool thing about me is I actually get to listen to it before it actually gets premiered, which is hectic, man. But bro, that's crazy, bro. That's crazy to see that like things were kind of been like put in place. It just felt right. It just felt like everything was like, when one door was closing for you, another one was opening, and then for someone else it was the same thing. They're like, oh, we're getting a bigger, we need to probably get a bigger door, because now we're going to jump in online, like for the Victorious team. And so, bro, talk to us, man. Like, how has it been knowing that you've been like, that you've been a part of Victorious?
Bro, it's been mean. It's been amazing. Like I've been working with these guys back since when I was like in Browns Island Food, just coming in and doing little project. Like they're like, bro, because they're a local boot camp, right? That's how they started out. They had one location, and back when I did my marketing course, I put it out there like, hey, who's running a business? Does anybody want help with marketing? I just learned all this stuff. They were one of the ones that reached out to me, and so I came in and they were like, we want to open another location. And so we did I put together a marketing campaign for them, and bro, sold out the second location. And then like a few months later, they came back to me, bro, we want to open another location. Same thing, same marketing campaign, boom, sold it out. And so that's how we kind of kept in touch throughout that whole time. And then, so by the time it came to COVID, what I had learned from the previous two businesses, bro, is like I said with Browns Island Food, I wasn't good at this, I wasn't good at that. In the online business, like it's not just the top three things. It's not just managing people, marketing and finances. It's also the team that you have around you, like, having no poisonous people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So by the time COVID came, Victorious had all of that. Like it's got a guy who manages the community, and everybody loves this guy. That's Victor. Like everybody looks up to him. He's the manager of the people. Then we've got Nathan Lilo. They're brothers. He's the other owner, and he's the finance guy. Like he's the man with numbers. And they've got the team. So, and all they needed was me to do the marketing. And I was like, this is exactly what I'm looking for. So it all worked out perfectly. And I feel like if they hadn't called me, I still would have found something like that. Like, because I knew I wouldn't go back to, struggling the same things that I made in the past. But coming in here, I've learned a lot more too, because these guys are, man, they're just an awesome business, like fully aligned with what I like, treating people like family, and just helping people. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, bro. It does, man. Yeah, bro. I don't know, man. Like, just listening to this, bro, it's actually amazing that I'm actually getting this story on the Impact Podcast show, because these are stories that I know that are going to impact people. You know, these, like, I know that there's probably someone listening to this being like, bro, I want to start something online. You know, COVID's actually hit me hard, and I'm looking for, you know, something to make like an income, or I'm wanting to do something online, just something. I want to get something rolling. And to hear these stories and to hear, like, you know, the mistakes or the things that happen, and it's kind of like you talking to your son. You know, you're talking to your son saying, "Hey," like, instead of you saying, you know, no, you're more so saying, "Hey, like, you know, do this instead." Yep. Like, that's pretty much, like, in a nutshell what I'm hearing in terms of this whole podcast. It's like you're pretty much sharing all the experience that you've had, and it's going to help not only just myself but also other people, you know, out there listening to this, being like, yeah, I'm actually feeling a lot more confident. I've got something to work with. And so, bro, on point, man, on point.
Thanks, man. Thanks for that feedback, bro. I appreciate it. Like, and I hope that people do get that feeling, because I'm a normal dude. Like I said, came to Australia with no qualifications. I'm an expert in being a laborer, straight up. And so all you got to do is make a start.
Yeah, and it's so true, guys. It's all about starting. You know, Logan's pretty much shared about it the whole time. He's been sharing the whole time that pretty much, like, if he didn't start, and it was crazy. It all stemmed from just having a conversation with his guy, like you know, with one of his mates, you know, and like they were just like chilling out, and then he says, "Oh, here's a proposal." But funny enough, although, you know, he didn't, you know, take the proposal and sort of things like that, there was something about that proposal that actually ignited a flame in him, saying, you know what, I'm going to think about it. And then from thinking about it to actually saying, you know what, I'm actually going to just do something about it. And so, yeah, I hope that you guys are getting encouraged by this, you know, podcast. I'm getting fully encouraged. And so, you know, as we wrap up this podcast, like, bro, I can talk for days. This is actually a really, really good, solid podcast. And I already know right now I'm going to listen back to this, bro, because there's little nuggets that I probably missed out on. But I want to tune into next time, bro. But, bro, as we start wrapping up, man, I want to say thank you so much for jumping on board, bro. I guess the last thing I want to ask for you, man, based on, you know, what you're doing right now in terms of your journey, bro, is, bro, what's your goal, man? Like, what's the vision? You know, what's the vision for Logan Brown?
Okay, yeah. So my vision, bro, is, you know what? It used to be about money, Like, it used to be like, I wanna own this, I wanna own that. And that was kind of like the measuring stick. And one of my friends, it was actually Lorena, who I want to hook you up with.
Yo.
Like, that's what, like, you're a product of society. That's why you think like that, because you think that rich people have a Lamborghini. And I was like, yeah, you know what? You're actually right. Like, I don't know if I do want money. Like, I just think I do.
Yeah.
So, like, now my vision is just, I do want to grow like a super successful business, like a worldwide business, like a brand.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm pushing for. But it has to be the right way. Like, it has to be a family business, like where you can come in on day one and you feel like you belong there. Kind of like going back to where we started, like with my dad, when people come over, I want people to feel that. So I do want to impact people. And I also want, like, I just want to be a little bit more cultured. So that's another thing. Like, I want to, because I've done a little bit of travel, but I want to do a lot. Like, I want to go and see different places, different experiences.
Bro, bro. I'm keen, bro. I'm actually keen to see that come into fruition, because I do believe, obviously, you know, as you continue to do what you love, obviously you're obviously going to see, like, greater results, and obviously the more results that you get, bro, obviously the income and sort of things that will obviously increase too, bro. But I guess the most important thing, bro, is just value. Obviously, the more value that you bring, you know, to the market, especially with you, bro, you know, doing the marketing side of things, and it's like, bro, you're pretty much adding value, being like, hey, bro, I'm here, you know, I'm here to do what I love. You know, the skill set that I have, that I've been building on and that I've been loving on, sharing to other people. Like that's where I'm getting all my, bread and butter. That's the way I see it, bro. Like it's just, that's the bread and butter for you, man. Like just going into helping other people become successful. But bro, at the end of the day, man, you need to reap it, eh? Like you need to have time to reap all the successful moments that you've helped other people. Because, as we spoke about at the start, you're talking about your father, and like, one thing that he was always about was, being generous. If he was having a feed and like someone came in, he'd give it straight away. And I love the fact, bro, that you're doing that. You're pretty much, and it may not be food, bro. It may be time. You're probably providing time for other people, saying, "Hey, man, I'm here for you. Like, I've got time for you," or it might be like, recording or whatever it is, bro. Which is amazing to see, man, because it all just stemmed from your upbringing, And so, bro, I appreciate it so much, man, for you sharing that. I'm going to impact it. But, bro, last question, bro. This is the last question, and then we're finished, bro. So you've shared everything, man. Like you've shared your story. You've shared, the setbacks, the setbacks and the setups that you've made, and you've also shared about how much you love the marketing space, bro. My last question I have for you, man, is what is an encouragement that you can share to anyone out there that is listening or watching this podcast?
An encouragement, bro. I guess like while you were just speaking, like two things kind of came to mind. Like first is that you kind of have to really like strengthen your why, like the reason why you want to do it. Because when I was in construction and I hated it, it was all about me. Like, I hate this. Like, that was all about me. It wasn't until I started like adding to my why, because if you're just going to do it for yourself, I think that it's going to be hard to get out. It wasn't until I started thinking like, oh, my kids, what are they, what's going to happen to them? And I started adding them to my why. And then I looked at my family, like my mom and my dad, I started adding them to my why. That started the engine moving, bro. So that's how I kind of started getting things going. So I would say, first of all, like really sit down and just think about like why you want to do it. If you're thinking about like breaking out of your industry or whatever, why do you want to do it? And then the second thing is, don't wait until it's perfect. Like, yeah. That has been a recurring thing in my whole journey. Like, you have to make something happen now. Whatever it is, like you have to be taking steps. If you're like, oh, I just want to, okay. So here's an example. A lot of people want to release something. Like I want to release a course or something like that. I just want to wait till it's got this, it's got that, bro. Like what you can do is, what I've learned is that you can just like do a little tester. You don't have to actually release the course. You can just be like, hey, who's keen for this? That's getting started. Like, and you'll get feedback instantly. So just do something straight away. Yes.
Oh man. On a point. That is on point. I know that someone's getting impacted just by listening to that, bro. Oh man. Yeah. I'm not hinting at all, but yeah, really needed to hear that, bro. That's hectic, man. But hey, bro, we're actually gonna wrap it up, man. We're gonna wrap up this podcast, bro. Another thank you, man, for tuning in. So from this point, man, I know that there's probably people listening to this now, and it's like, you know what, man, like I really want to get to know more about Logan. I've heard his story. This is probably the first time, and so, bro, what's the best way that people can connect with you?
I guess just at the moment, just add me on Facebook. Yeah, I'm more behind the scenes at the moment. I used to do a little bit of stuff, putting myself out there, but just add me on Facebook. Like, I'm easygoing. Yeah, sweet. Hey, follow Victorious Health and Fitness, because then you'll kind of see the product of like, our journey. Yeah, sweet. So for those out there that are watching this video through YouTube, we're going to put the links down below to his Facebook page if you want to know who he is. But if you want to know what he's doing, check out Victorious, and we'll have that down in the links down below. But if you're listening to this either through Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure you guys check onto our Instagram page. That is our main platform, and we'll make sure that we get some sort of way of connection to Logan in terms of his Facebook page. But yeah, just follow Victorious, because we will be following. Oh, we're actually already following them right now. So if you guys want to tune into that, and that will be cool. But guys, that is all that we got for this show, or for this podcast episode. Logan, bro, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, man. Like, I really appreciate the opportunity. It felt good, bro. I feel pumped right now. Feels like therapy.
Yeah,
Thanks,
all
man.
good, bro. All good, man. But yeah, guys, that is all that we got. Thank you guys for watching, bro, and thank you, bro, for jumping on. And we'll see you guys in the next one.